easier, right? And
Right.
RC, I think
Mhm.
compared to what they found last time, I think
Right.
people have found it a little tougher. Otherwise,
Yes.
it's the same thing that we find each year in IFT.
Right. Right. In fact, Shivku, just to add to what the students are saying, I felt this year DILR as a section was slightly easier as compared to the normal, and because there were more sets which were doable, especially in DI. RC was more inferential. A few more inferential questions was definitely correct, and quant again lengthy, time consuming, and maybe slightly difficult. Okay, but before that, I don't know if the issue is with my center only. I found that the interface was pathetic. It could be the monitor was very poor because the monitor issue was there, and the question paper button was missing. There was no way you could check the entire questions together. Then every question you had to solve left, right, because the question palette has taken almost 40% of the 30% of the screen. So every
Hmm.
question you're moving left to right, and if you use the zoom button, suddenly it becomes so small that you can't read. Okay,
Hmm.
so very poor interface. On top of it, my center was very
Hmm.
poor management. Okay. So that also could have played a role because the infrastructure was bad. It was an under construction center, and with the computer etc. not up to the mark. My paper started 15 minutes late, and I was not the only one in my center.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I hope
so
that's not the case with anybody else. But I think the interface couldn't have been localized, right? I mean, it should be
no,
the same
it
thing
should be
across.
I don't know, interface localized तो नहीं होना चाहिए है. The other students could confirm if they found the interface to be fine, or they also had to keep scrolling left right for every question. But my guess is maybe the monitor, the aspect ratio on the monitor could have been an issue. Okay.
Yeah, I think Shivan says, sir, interface was really poor. Huh? Which means
Not
that,
expected from NTS. Very shoddily conducted exam. Very shoddily conducted exam and very poor interface. I don't think they have even done a testing of the interface. That
oh,
the timer button was not the timer was not visible at all.
so that's what Shreya says. Time got cut off from the screen.
Yeah, your photo is there, but you can't see the timer. So
Hmm.
if it is 88 or 38, you will never be able to know. And so very poor interface, not expected from NTA at all.
So that itself will impact, right, GP, in terms
Yeah,
of
that itself
scores?
will reduce the score somewhat. And I don't know why they have changed the interface because till last year these issues were not there.
Yeah, I know.
Last year it was smoothly conducted, the interface was fine. So this year, along with the interface issue, I think what multiplied the issues for people at my center would obviously be the poor quality of monitors.
Hmm. So let me. This is broadly, I think, some of the things that we got from some feedback here and there. Okay. So, and the definition of a good score here is something that's I mean, which means somebody who has done extremely well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does this seem okay, GP?
Yeah, Shivku, if I go section by section,
Hmm.
EU 19 questions were primarily vocabulary.
Hmm.
You had foreign words, you had one word substitution, you had fill in the blanks, synonyms, antonyms, etc., etc. And out of those 19 odd questions, I would expect most people not to be able to answer at least 7 or 8.
Hmm.
So from that point of view, I would say about 10 to 11 attempts in EU in about 10 minutes, not 15 minutes, possibly closer to 10 minutes would be fine.
Hmm.
And the 4 passages, those 16 questions, a couple of passages at least I found difficult to read, but I can possibly blame it on the interface also because if I reduce the font so that if I zoom in, the font becomes so small. If I zoom out, the font becomes big, but then I have to keep scrolling left and right using continuity. So that could have been an issue. But RC, I would say the number of inferential questions was slightly on the higher side. And I would say even in RC, about an attempt of 10 to 11 was perfectly fine. So both EU as well as RC, I would say about 10 to 11 attempts would be a good attempt. 20, 22 attempts, assuming because vocabulary in RC, one would make 3-4 errors. So if you look at that aspect, something like 15 correct answers out of 20 or let's say 16 correct answers out of 21 is the mean number. So that will mean about 40, 42. Yeah, this 40 odd is a very good score in EU plus RC. Yeah.
And quant, was it any tougher than what you found last year?
Shivku, just to close that EU RC chapter, I would say something like 40 minutes between EU plus RC was good enough. Up to 45 was not required. If you are taking 45 minutes, it is only because you would have wasted a lot of time in EU trying to eliminate choices and vocabulary, which is stupidity. So I would say something like 30 plus 10. 30 minutes for RC, 10 minutes for EU would have been very, very safe. Okay. Quant, I would say, Shivku, okay, first of all, there were a couple of questions of probability, which most people don't like, which was an issue. In addition to that, there were a couple of questions of trigonometry. Tan inverse theta or tan theta kind of question, which again I would assume hardly anyone would have attempted. But in general, I would say there were 10, 11 easy questions which were there. They were lengthy. Most of the questions, as usual, the numbers were very stupid, but if you look at the choices, you could have done them faster. So Jugaad, I was able to apply at least 6 or 7 questions. So if you were applying Jugaad, you could have probably gone to 14, 15 attempts. But going beyond 14, 15, I would say would have been a challenge in about 30 minutes of the paper.
Okay.
So I would say 30 minutes of this section. If you are getting about 10 to 11 questions, that's a reasonably good attempt. And hence a good score of about 9 correct, 2, 3 wrong, you will be about 25. So 20, 22 is shade lower than what I think one can get, but it is fine. So I would have said possibly maybe a couple of marks more in quant. Instead of 20, 22, I would have probably said 20 to 24. Up to 25 is what I would be looking at. Okay. But if you have good accuracy, then 30 minutes, 10 to 11 questions, getting 30 to 35 was definitely doable. Okay. But around 25 is what I would say as far as this paper is concerned, because students also have to manage time between the sections.
Between the sections, absolutely. Okay. And with the interface, I'm not sure what impact this would have.
Actually, the biggest issue was interface.
So DILR, we haven't. This hasn't changed much. This is what I heard from a lot of students.
Okay, so Keshav, this has been an issue for everyone. Everyone I have met or talked to, everyone is saying the same thing. Stupidity on part of NTA to change the interface. Okay. Now, when I look at DILR, these 30 questions, as usual, DI was the easier part. Okay. As usual, LR was the easier section. However, there was one set of LR 4 questions, which was a tournament table. For 5 people had played a game against each other, 5 rounds. And each of the rounds, the win-loss was given. It could be WWWLL, second person could be LLWDD. And you had to identify effectively who played whom in which match. Shivku, exactly what we discussed once, if you remember. वही वाला exactly चीज आया था उसमें. So yeah. Okay. So the coin flip game was easy but time consuming. And if this was easy, I would say you could do all 4 questions. But this is a check which will going to take you at least 10 minutes, if not 12 to 15 minutes. This is at least a 10-minute check. Okay. So this is not something that I would have recommended doable. But the circular arrangement, the row arrangement, the transport service actually was like CAT. Shifu, remember about 3-4 years ago, we had a data set in CAT. In which there were hubs and transportation.
Correct.
Exactly same thing. Exactly the same thing, straightforward. Okay. This was easy. The quiz competition was easy. Choosing 4 students out of 8 was easy, but again, time consuming. So I would say out of these 14 questions, the first 4 and the last 1 question were little time consuming. If you ignore them, the remaining 9 questions were absolute sitters. The remaining 9, you had to get almost everything right. Okay. And when you look at the coin flip and that single question, I would say if I had to choose one, I would probably spend 10 minutes, 12 minutes and do the coin flip, because that will give me 4 questions. Okay. Yeah. Now, when you go to the DI section, the Tokyo Olympics was easy. And the COVID ratio was very easy. Actually, I disagree with the feedback. The stack bar chart and pie chart were calculation intensive. The
Okay.
stack bar chart and the pie chart and line graph, which was about steel prices, these were calculation intensive. For example, the pie chart and line chart of the second set, which talked about the steel prices, it had question like which was the second lowest or the third highest, which means you had to do more amount of work. I would have my feeling was set number 1, the Tokyo Olympics and the COVID-19. These are the 2 easiest sets, and these 8 questions should have been attempted. The remaining 2 sets should have been left. So this should have been 4 plus 4, 8 out here, and 9 questions in LR. 17 were definitely to be attempted in this.
Okay.
Okay.
So that would kind of, you're saying that 17, in which case getting a score here of 40, 42 should have been there on, I mean, people who are really doing well, they should have been managing
40,
42.
42 is a manageable score in this.
Yeah.
In DILR, 40, 42 is a manageable score. Okay. See, and Shipu, so when I came out of the examination, my feeling was a score of 40 in English, score of 40 in DILR, and a score of 25 in quant will be a very good score. 40,
okay, that's about 100 and
makes it 105. Another 8 to 10 marks in let's say GK, that makes it 110 to 115. To me, a very good score in this paper is 110 plus.
So your definition GP of very good is just 100% आएगा ही.
हाँ, जो आता ही है, and I'm talking about people who would possibly be 99.5 percentilers.
ठीक है.
So if I look at the cutoffs I don't think are going to change significantly from last year. If you look at the sectional cutoffs.
Okay. So this is what the criteria for IIFT is, right?
Yes.
So they have 73, almost 75% weightage for IIFT score. Then your 10th and 12th also come in, and then we are talking about academic diversity, and there you have probably a little bit of a disadvantage because of the fact that you're an engineer.
Yes.
So
Shipku, if you just look, Shipku, if we can just go back. So if you look at the other 3, 10, most of the students who will get called at the lower end of the spectrum would have 10 out of 10 for class 10th marks, similarly for 12, and will have academic as well as gender diversity. So if you are a girl who has got a 90% plus in 10th and 12th and is a non-engineer, she is starting at 27. Her requirement is likely to be much lower in terms of the overall cutoff requirement. Correct. But if you're a male engineer who does not get 10 out of 10 in 10th and 12th, then obviously your requirement will go up.
So broadly, I mean, looking at one of the criteria also has been to look at last year's cutoffs, and we have tried pegging it based on that, because last year there were about 2,700 odd people who got calls from IIFT.
That's right.
And I've said that this is a safe call, probably. I mean, 100 plus is a safe call for a male engineer. Whereas,
very safe.
Very, very safe. And this seems to be the general idea that we are getting about what the various categories are. I mean, yes. You think it might go up or down?
The critical thing from the student perspective is that they should clear the sectional cutoffs.
Yes. And it is very pathetically low GP.
Yes, I know. But even last year I came across students who missed out on sectional cutoffs. So, and that typically happens either
in
because
GK.
of new excessive attempts or GK excessive attempps. And here when I'm saying Shipu, that 90 marks for general category, or now 75 for OBC and 60 for the SC/ST, this is assuming you don't have good academics, or you are a male and you are an engineer.
And this is a lower end.
If you happen to be a girl who has got good academics, that 90 could easily go, and not an engineer, that 90 could easily reduce to something like 70 also. Yeah. So these are very safe numbers. Anyone with 90 plus in 10th and 12th should be hopeful of getting called at much lower scores.
Okay. So this GP, one second. Last time, because the test was conducted in 2 different windows, because I think there was some floods or somewhere.
Orissa cyclone issue was there.
Orissa cyclone was there. So and I think the results came out a little late. What
Yeah.
do you think would be because IFT I always felt is the quickest to give out
Yes.
the results.
Typically, if we look at ignore last year, IFT would typically come out with the results within 3 weeks of the exam.
Hmm.
So the exam used to be first Sunday of December, and by Christmas we would have these results in hand. So
So
I
do you
would
think
say this time possibly CAT and IFT both will have the clear results almost together.
maybe at best Jan first week?
Jan first week I would expect both. So ZAT खराब करने की आदत जो CAT की है IFT भी डालेगा.
और इंटरव्यूज जो उसके ओरिजिनल डेट्स जो होते थे जैन लास्ट वीक हो सकता है इस
Last
बार
week,
शुरू कर देगा
yes.
वो.
End of January, first week of February, IFT interviews should be scheduled as per the original pattern. So I would say anyone who's getting at least a 90 in general category, 75 in OBC or 16 SC, ST, PWD, please start preparing. These are safe numbers based on last couple of years.
ठीक है.
Just to be clear, last year, general category, the lowest number at which someone got an interview call was 42.6 marks.
Yes,
Obviously,
yes,
that will
yes.
be a girl who's a non-Indian with terrific academic. She would have got 27 out of 27 there.
Maybe I'll share that document with these people, right?
Yeah.
1 second. The lowest score for general category at which got, and there were about 2,800 calls that were sent, and
Right.
the lowest score for 1 second. We have lowest score.
5 attempts in quant is not an issue. Look at the cutoff for last year. Last year the cutoff was 10. Was I think about 3 questions if I remember correctly, 9 marks, 9 or 12. So as long as you are in double digits in quant, you should be able to clear the sectional cutoff, I would say.
GP जनरल का जो लोएस्ट था 42.6.
हाँ.
जनरल EWS का जो था that was 35, and OBC NCL.
Yeah.
This is 35.1. And then you had the SCST and all of that. That works out to be 27.6. These were the lowest scores at which somebody got a call last year from IIFT. And out of those,
and just to repeat, it is safe to assume this would be a girl who's a non-engineer with 90% plus in 10th and 12th.
Okay, so let's look at some questions. Cutoff clear तो होना चाहिए कनिक. Cutoff clear ना होने के लिए आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से एक ही जगह है जहाँ पे नॉर्मली लोगों को तकलीफ होती है, वो जीके है.
Yes.
So it was almost like saying we used to say that IFT literally cutoffs नहीं है, right? You don't have to worry about it because बहुत ही low scores में cutoff हो clear. I'm expecting 4 marks in GA. Harshita, would that get me through in that section?
4 marks could be a borderline case.
It's just like a touch and go.
Touch and go could happen, could not happen.
Neha is saying, sir, GK for OBC. So let me just go back to that OBC का जो है.
शिवको वो डॉक्यूमेंट में लास्ट ईयर का सेक्शनल कट ऑफ लिखा होगा, वो भी डाल दो यहाँ पे.
मैंने ये वाला करते वक्त तो आई हैव केप्ट दैट इन माइंड.
ओके, परफेक्ट देन.
तो मैंने 1-2 मार्क्स इधर उधर किया है, बट आई थिंक it might go down this year from the way I see that the paper has been conducted in such a shabby fashion. The general scores will go down.
I'm very confident scores will go down purely because of the interface and the poor quality of centers they had.
कनिक 40 to 42 in English आराम से क्लियर हो जाएगा.
बहुत कंफर्टेबल यार. 40-42 in English is a very high score.
बहुत ही अच्छा स्कोर है. Sir, overall good attempts. What do you think overall good number of attempts, GV?
About 50.
ठीक है.
50 is a very good score attempt.
अच्छा, Pranjal, good academics means see, this 10 is for somebody who gets a CGPA of
let's say 90% plus in 10 and 12.
90% plus. Yeah. ठीक है. Any other questions?
Yeah, Prachi, IIFT Delhi, Calcutta, same selection process, identical. No separate merit list is created for Calcutta. The 2,800 interview calls which were given last year was for both the campuses combined. Based on your final score after the interview, you choose the campus based on your preference.
Okay, Keshav has got a cat wala question here. Sir, out of topic, please update whether any change in percentile predicted due to removal of question. We are doing it, Keshav, we are doing it.
Keshav,
Because
but don't expect too much of a change.
परसेंटाइल में ज्यादा चेंज नहीं होगा. ये स्केल स्कोर का क्या कैसे हाउ डू दे टेक इट इनटू कंसीडरेशन इज समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू सी.
Yeah, they have ignored those questions for those students, then the total marks will change. And accordingly, the percentile will have to be recalculated. Or scale scores will have to be recalculated.
Saumil, what is the usual timeline of release of response sheet? The way it is going, Saumil,
This week itself it should come out.
I think it should come out this week. Yeah.
Next 3-4 days it should come out.
Arshita, I think that's something that you should hope for. GA में भी cutoffs नीचे जाने का. 4.5 in OBC GK, is there a chance? I think it is touch and go, Neha. I think should happen, but it's touch and go. General male non-engineer 90 plus, 90 CA finalist. What is the safe score? General male non-engineer. I think 90 plus is a good.
These are the safe scores which have been given. 90, 75 and 60 are assuming you are a male who's an engineer and has average academics.
This is an absolute safe score, Saumil.
If you are 100, please, if you are any, not 100, I would say if you are 90 plus as a general category candidate, 75 as a SC, as a OPC EWS candidate, or a 60 plus as a SC, ST, PWD candidate, please start preparing for the interviews immediately.
शिवन बसी कहता है कि 5 in quant could quant create a problem. देखो 5 if you got all of them right, मेरे ख्याल से cutoffs तो clear हो जाएगा. तो तब problem नहीं होनी चाहिए. It all depends on your accuracy in the rest of the things.
LRDI ठीक है, verbal अच्छा है, बाकी ठीक है. शिवम 3 भी 4 भी सही हो गए तो you are through. Definitely through with 4.
प्रांजल memory based solution session तो होगा नहीं क्योंकि पेपर तो आ ही जाएगा.
Another 3 days we'll get the response sheet, so please don't worry about the memory based thing.
Sai Kiran ka sir, I attempted 52.
Yes, सब सही है यार. Sai Kiran, LRDI is maybe slightly lower, but that is fine. Overall, it looks fine to me.
Harshita, anytime this week, I guess. Coming week. Okay, so that's it. I think we will please make sure that you go and update what is there on the percentile predictor, right? Yeah. And or the score sheet. It will help us give a better idea maybe by the end of the date or whenever the response sheet comes in. I think we'll be able to give you the better percentile. So, but the good thing about IIFT is last year 2,800 people got a call out of probably about 75,000 people taking the test. What would be the number, GP, this time?
Yeah, I would assume similar.
Yeah, but so which is, I think, I mean, you're basically saying about 3 to 4% of the people are actually getting the interview calls, which I think is a good thing to look forward to. Any specific tips for interviews? We will तैयारी करो, शुरू करो. चलो ठीक है, right. CAT percentile predictor में कोई change होगा क्या? Got disconnected in between. केशव, percentile बहुत ज़्यादा change नहीं होगा, but ये scale score कैसे करेंगे? That's something that we need to do. But answering your question, we are removing that particular question in slot 3 and then redoing the calculation. Most probably by today or tomorrow, you'll get to see it.
Yeah, and just to repeat what Shivku said, slot 2, 1 question has been removed. Slot 3, 1 question has been removed. And so overall percentile change ज़्यादा मत expect करना, but we'll still do the working.
ठीक है. Okay.
Okay then, चलो.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All the best.
Pranjal, yes, you will have to do better off in an interview if the score is a borderline case. Tarun ka kya question hai, sir? I am gem and 10 and 12, 70%. What should be the score be? Tarun, I think for you to be able to manage to get the calls, I think मेरे ख्याल से you should be looking at a score of 100 plus for sure. ठीक है guys, bye, see you.
Bye.